Thank you. I'd like to recognize Ms. Jayapal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before turning to my questions, I just want to correct the record regarding statements around allegations of the Penn-Biden Center. Republicans have suggested that the current administration is not taking its responsibility seriously to address allegations regarding the Penn-Biden Center. The University of Pennsylvania has publicly stated that the center, quote, has never solicited or received any gifts from any Chinese or other foreign entity. The university has never solicited any gifts for the center. And since its inception in 2017, there have been 3 unsolicited gifts from 2 donors, which combine to a total of $1,100. Both donors are American. And I also want to remind my colleagues that the previous administration declined to investigate claims surrounding the Penn Center, stating that an investigation with respect to Section 117 compliance was unwarranted. So I'd like to enter into the record an article from the Daily Pennsylvanian from January of this year outlining these facts.
No objection.
Thank you. I want to start by saying that I'm deeply disturbed by the topic of this hearing. And I say that as one of just a dozen naturalized citizens to serve in the United States Congress and the first South Asian American woman elected to the House. You know, my parents sent me to the United States when I was 16 years old by myself because they believed that this was the country where opportunity was possible that was not possible anywhere else. And they sent me with the belief that America was a welcoming place, a place where I could thrive and reach my highest potential. And I have. But this hearing today, reading the memo, listening to the comments today, talking about people as threats just because they were born in another country is just plain wrong. It's just wrong, and it undercuts our ability to attract the best and the brightest. And frankly, it's hateful rhetoric that is a distraction from meaningfully addressing real national security threats, which we absolutely should do. Just in my district alone, I've got 11,000 international students who contribute $456 million to our economy. And that's just my district. Imagine what the contributions are across the country. And Mr. Yang, I want to thank you for being here today and really for your decades of work to advance the civil rights of Asian Americans and Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders. And I want you to just briefly, because I have a couple of questions for you, but briefly tell us the dangers of the escalating rhetoric about China and the proposed legislative actions in this space, and the history that we've gone through in this country where we've seen over and over again how that rhetoric hurts our Asian American people across the country.
Thank you, and I'll try to be brief. The dangers are real. We've seen murders. Literally, we've seen murders because of anti-Asian sentiment, and that will continue if we continue to have hyperbolic rhetoric. We have seen people that do not want to come to the United States. Part of this is making sure that we embrace, in addition to preventing bad actors from coming in, we got to keep the good actors that want to be here, here. And that includes so many Asian Americans, Chinese Americans, students that come here for all of the reasons that we've talked about, that want to stay here, are being precluded from staying here because of this anti-Asian sentiment, because of restrictive laws regarding ownership of land or other things.
One piece that I think is really important to talk about is the real value of international students, of researchers and professors, not just to increase campus diversity, which is of course great and wonderful, we support that, but also to the benefits of U.S. foreign policy and to our standing in the world. And you touched on this briefly, but please elaborate a little bit on why it's so important to have this engagement with Chinese students and how it helps us with our diplomatic strategy.
There is so much misunderstanding right now between the United States and China. Again, I recognize that there are geopolitical challenges, but if you talk to the average American and the average Chinese student, whether in China or that are studying here, they find so much in common. And if we are setting up a situation where they are no longer talking to each other, they don't feel welcome here, then our divisions will just get further. Lines will harden even more, and that foreign relations will become even more difficult.
I do believe that there are legitimate security concerns that we have to address with protecting federally funded research. How would a precise response for preventing actual cases of espionage and intellectual property theft better serve our nation? What does that look like?
What it looks like is very specific definitions of what it means to have, for example, government control, what it means to have foreign influence. What it means is very understandable terms that universities and administrators can administer. What it means is making sure we have investigators that are trained to avoid bias, avoid stereotypes. And what it means also is to make sure that universities feel like if they make an innocent mistake, they will not get criminalized for that behavior.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Demonizing communities for their country of origin breeds hate and discrimination. I hope we stop doing it. I yield back.
Thank you.